I'm going to blame the form. No. Oh, seventh. Yeah. What? My defense. Hey, I'll tell you what. When this comes off, I'm going to look like a genius.
Well, until people listen to your reason why, and it's oops, I pressed the wrong button.
I'm going to say my defense is there's always a surprise. There's always a surprise package in the league, and it's been Salford before or whatever. I'm going to say KR are going to surprise everybody, and there you go. 7th or thereabouts.
Okay. Well, in 9th place, we've got the Salford Red Devils coming in. Now, we talked about change and turnover at Hull KR. At the Red Devils, there's change in coaching staff and big change in the squad. So the gains are Morgan Esgray, Joe Burgess, who unfortunately is going to miss most of the season, which is a real shame, Sam Luckley, Matty Costello, Harvey Levette, Jack Wells, Danny Addy, back in the big time, Elijah Taylor and Darcy Lussick, which I think is a deficit on the Lussick stakes because Joey Lussick is one of their losses, along with Mark Flanagan, Louis Roberts, Chris Wellham, Connor Jones, Niall Evolds, Gil Dudson, Luke Yates, Tyrone McCarthy and Ed Chamberlain. Now there's quite a lot of red hair that's gone missing from that side, which is a disappointment, even though Harvey Levette does address some of that issue with his arrival. They were 9th in Super League last season, but they were, of course, the runner-up in the Challenge Cup. But that was a different Salford under a different coach. David, do you want to tell us the fan view that we've got in from Salford fans?
Gareth says, another appearance in the grand final.
Well, Gareth
seemed
a lot more optimistic than you are, David, for them.
Seems a little optimistic to me. I mean, I think that Watson did a remarkably good job last year with them, and obviously the year before as well. The turnover has been huge. Again, it's quite difficult to know. New coach. Almost anything could happen. I felt the same a little bit about Hull, Sarah, about you don't really know what it's going to be like until a new coach gets the feet under the table and starts to shape how he wants that team to play. So they may do better than I think, but given the loss of all that experience, people like Niall Evans, leaving the club, and a new coach coming in trying to replace someone who I think's overachieved with the previous squad, which is, I think, stronger than the one they've got this year. It's difficult to see them finishing in the top half of the table.
Well, you've picked them to finish 10th, so you've got no confidence in your former assistant coach there at St Helens. But Sarah, you have got a soft spot for Salford. You've got a brother-in-law who supports Salford, and you think that they're going to finish maybe 8th, which is slightly better than the rest of what we're tipping. So are you confident that Richard Marshall will be the right man to replace Ian Watson?
Not really. It's difficult in that, 7, 8, 9, when you're filling it in and it's like, where shall I slot them? I think that they have massive losses, like David was saying, and the Ian Watson factor of managing to pull something out of nothing and turn a team of individuals into quite a good team. I guess, I would say that I don't feel confident in knowing how Marshall's going to bring them together as a team or anything else. It's another one of those sort of, I could have put 10th for them, or I could have gone, I'm struggling to know quite where they'd fit.
They did beat Wigan in a pre-season match, but it's similar to what David talked about with Saints and Lee. Wigan basically, after half an hour, started doing the rotation, whereas Salford kind of played their first choice side because they didn't have as many young players to come in, whereas Wigan were bringing 17-year-olds in that I'd never seen on a pitch before. So I can't take too much from that either. I wonder how they're going to replace some of the defensive losses, but it sounds like Marshall's focusing on a very much a team defence approach to make up for losses like Luke Yates, Joey Lussick, Taryn McCarthy, who made most of their tackles last year. So I wonder how that'll work and how that'll affect the attacking flair of the side, which is something Watson brought in so well, the attacking structure. So it is to be seen for Salford, but I hope Gareth's right, but I fear that he might not be. In 8th place, lots of people will be disappointed to hear this one. The Castleford Tigers, in terms of squad turnover, their gains are Niall Evalds, Lewis Bienek, Sui Matungi and Jordan Turner. The losses are Jordan Rankin, Matt Cook, Mike McMeekin, Junior Moores, Callum Turner and Bailey Hodgson. Last year they were 8th as well, so people are very consistently in terms of form. They dropped out in the 6th round of the Challenge Cup. Tim, do you want to go through the fan views that we got for the Castleford Tigers?
Yeah, this is a considered opinion from a noted scholar of the game. Fatboy Rob says win every game.
I mean, that's a step back from piss the league, isn't it? So
yeah, I think Tigers in decline. Helen Gapik says far better than last season.
Come on, Helen only likes it if we pronounce the name incorrectly.
Helen G.A. Pick. And Simon Lees says if we can mainly stay injury free and have a favourable Challenge Cup draw, we could be very strong and in the mix of both comps. Big year for Truman and Richardson. Excited to see O'Neill get more game time.
Yeah, O'Neill's a player I talk a bit about in the blog post that I wrote about all the squads this season, because I like the look of Jax O'Neill as well. But really, if we're talking about Castleford, we need to defer to the Castleford fan, don't we? Secret.
Have we got one?
Secret as it is, Alan. Alan, the secret Cas fan. How do you think your side will get on this year?
Not my side. I agree with the consensus. I think I have them 8th. Evalds is a great signing, but Rankin was surprisingly effective. In kind of moving around from halfback to fullback and here, there, and everywhere. It feels like Cass is slightly treading water for me, which is hence why I've got them finishing in about the same place.
Tim, you've gone for them finishing 8th as well. Do you think that this could be, as Alan says, like a treading water year? Could that then affect what might happen with Darryl Powell? Is this a year, if they do have another stagnant year, that it might be a major change in the coaching setup?
I think so. You wouldn't be surprised. He's had a very long run there in comparative terms. I think if they are going to go to the next level, they probably need a fair bit of investment and possibly a change of coach. But I think he has had them punching above their weight for quite a while. So you have to be careful if you do that. But I can't see where their next level is going to come from with the squad they've got and the coach they've got. So to go further, I think they need one or both to change significantly.
Yeah, I think Cass fans will say Niall Evalds might be the next level, just like Zach Hardacre was for them a few years ago. So we'll see if that pans out, because Evalds is undoubtedly one of the star players there. Let's move into France for 7th place in the predictions. It's the Catalans Dragons. So Gil Dudson, Mike McMeekin and Dean Farre are the big signings. I still can't see his name written or hear it said without thinking about that fucking pass in the semi-final of the 2013 World Cup.
Oh.
In terms of losses, Anthony Maria, Sam Mower, Mikael Simon, David Mead, Remy Casti, Lucas Albert, Lewis Tierney, and let's face it, it's not formal, but Israel Folau has gone there. A lot of beefy pack players, might have been old players, but a lot of beefy pack players have dropped off there. They were 4th in the Super League last season. virtue of the points percentage system that was in place. They only made the quarterfinals of the Challenge Cup, though. David, you've got them finishing in the playoff spots, whereas the consensus is that they'll finish outside the playoff spots. So you've got them 5th. So you think they'll do well this year?
I think they're a pretty good side. I mean, I think actually I know theoretically they benefited from the points percentage approach last year, but actually I think they suffered from not really being it was a very stop and start season for them. I think they're actually a very good team, and if they can get into a run of form, they're pretty formidable. I'm quite worried about coming up against them towards the end of last season. Realise they have lost some beef out of the pack. I do hope. I've always thought Mike McMeekin had a superstar player billing in him if he really put his mind to it, and hopefully the extra warmth of the south of France will get him moving a little bit better and bring him on from what I think was a little bit of a stagnation at Castleford. I still think they are more than capable of challenging for the title this year, Catalan, particularly with players like Tompkins guiding them around the park. If he plays like he did last year, and they can get a little bit of a run together, I think they could be a challenger.
Sarah, you don't have the same feelings based on your prediction of them finishing in 9th. The squad looks quite thin, doesn't it, with a few young players that we don't know very much about featuring relatively high in the squad numbers.
Yeah, I think, again, like I was saying about Salford, they're one of those that I wasn't quite sure where to put them. But I think that their losses are quite significant this year. Mike McMeekin and Junior Moores are sort of quite, you're solid players, aren't they? And I guess Matt Cook as well. They're not.
We're on to Catalan, Sarah.
We are on to Catalans. I don't know why I started talking about Castleford.
Begins with a C.
It does. I was listening all to the south of France. Castleford's just been relocated. Catalans' losses have been quite big as well, haven't they? Losing people like Casti, who's been there forever.
Yeah, Casti and Moa, it's a big hole to fill in that pack, and Gil Dudson is just one man, and they needed two, probably.
And also, I mean, what's the travel situation going to be like?
It sounds like there is some more positive movement there, doesn't it? It sounds like teams won't have to quarantine going to France.
Yeah.
Which actually might just benefit the teams going to France, and we'll get to see them on the television, which is the big plus. So we will.
Yeah, that was really good news.
Yeah, so in the first month of the season, we will get, or the first 2 months of the season, we will get to see quite a bit of Catalans Dragons. So we will get a good sense of, whether this sort of, I guess, uncertainty that we've placed him in with a few in the playoffs, a few out of the playoffs, will come to pass. One of their players is absolutely ridiculously tall based on the numbers. So I don't know. But Corentin Lecam, I think his name is over 200 centimeters tall. I don't know.
Wow.
I can't comprehend what that is in feet and inches. But like,
taller than Dane Tills.
He's playing basketball.
Yeah. Tim, it is Dane Tills sort of size. I think it makes him the tallest player to have played in Super League, whilst the Super League pod has been in place. Corentin Lecam, if he gets game time.
That's 6'7".
There you go. I can't even imagine. Right, let's move on to the team that are just going to squeak into what is a 6-team playoffs this year, according to the voters out there, and that's the Huddersfield Giants.
Well, it is now. It might not be by the end of the season.
Very fair point. We need to be adaptable in these strange times. We talked about a lot of turnover at Salford, and on the other end of that, a lot of turnover is Huddersfield, who've taken Salford head coach Ian Watson, and he has surrounded himself with a a lot of changes in the Huddersfield squad compared to last year. So Jack Ashworth, James Cunningham, Joe Greenwood, Ricky Latelli, Jack Cogger, Josh Jones, Luke Yates and Ollie Ashall-Bott have all come in as gains for the Giants. Losses are Paul Clough, Dom Young, Adam Waln, Reece Butterworth, Jordan Turner, Suia Matungi, Aquila Uarte and Tom Holmes. Last year they were 7th in Super League. They were the only Super League side to lose in the 5th round of the Challenge Cup, whereas most of them got to the quarterfinals one way or another.